Well, again, today is the day, the National Newspaper Publishers Association's National Leadership Awards reception, where tonight we honor Olympic record setter Allison Felix, Doctors James Hildreth and Dr. Ebony Hilton, Congresswoman Cori Bush, and Senators Cory Booker and Raphael Warnock. But before the reception, we have a very special guest. Regina Belle, an American singer-songwriter from Englewood, New Jersey. Englewood in the house. At a young age, she began performing at Englewood's Mount Calvary Baptist Church. She was introduced to the Manhattans by New York radio DJ Vaughn Harper. Y'all in the New York area, y'all know who Vaughn Harper is, and began working as their opening act. She recorded the 1986 duet, Where Did We Go Wrong, with the group, which helped to attract the attention of Columbia Records. They eventually signed her to a record deal, and in 1987, she released her debut album, All By Myself. It included her first hits, So Many Tears and Show Me the Way. Her follow-up album, Stay With Me, was then released in 1989, and you know what? She recorded with Johnny Mathis, and we all know the stuff she did with Peabo Bryson and so much more. And she got more in store. She's got some concerts coming up. We're going to talk about that with the great Regina Belle. But first, let's bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Hey, Dr. Chavis.
Thank you very much, Stacey Brown. And on behalf of Karen Carter Richards, the chair of the NNPA, that we represent 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies across America, we are pleased to pause to have an exchange with the legendary Regina Belle.
Absolutely. Let's welcome her now. This top of the charts all the time. We just love her. Regina Belle, welcome.
Thank you so much. And it's so good to be on here with both of you gentlemen. Esteemed. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for all of what you have done, what you are doing, and what you will do.
Dr. Chavis, that means a lot coming from you.
Well, let's jump right into it. This week, Regina Belle is performing. Tell us where it's in Bethesda, Maryland. We know, but tell us about where in Bethesda and what your fans and everybody else can look forward to this weekend.
It's at the Bethesda Jazz Supper Club, and I've been there a few times. Actually, quite a few times, and I'm looking forward to seeing the guests that will come, my fans. I want to definitely let them know that precautions have been taken to make sure that it's been the safety regulations and spraying it down and doing what needs to be done. I want to advise all my guests to wear masks. And they will do what needs to be done in terms of the social distancing, because we can't be ignorant and not recognize that we are in a pandemic. I appreciate all of the audience that has purchased tickets to this degree. But we're going to also in the midst of those hours that I'll be entertaining, I also want you to be safe. If you have conditions or whatever, let's use our wisdom and do what we need to do. But I'm looking forward to it. I think so many of us are looking forward to gathering again and being able to hear music again and
live music.
Yeah, live music. I was talking to you earlier and I was telling you how weird it is when you do virtual concerts, live concerts. Because you kind of thrive on the audience. They let you know if you're doing good, if you're not doing not so good, and not having that and just kind of singing to the camera person. It can be interesting sometimes, but we respect the times in which we live in, and we try to govern ourselves accordingly.
Yeah, and it's so refreshing to hear you speak so frankly about that, making sure that the venue is washed down, sprayed down. You're asking your guests, your fans, and everyone else to wear masks. It's for their safety. And and I also appreciate you're talking about the live music, not singing in front of a camera and zooming it out. Talk about that energy you get from a live crowd.
It's just nothing like it. There are times when let me give you a perfect example. I was performing in Japan one year, and there was a young lady who was in the front of the audience, and she was crying. I was singing "Make It Like It Was," and a majority of my audience didn't speak English, and so I asked my interpreter Irene if she would bring her backstage so I could speak with her. And when I got backstage, I asked Irene to ask her why was she crying. And in her, speaking Japanese, she says to Irene, I understood everything that she's saying. I could feel what she was singing about. And I think that kind of changed my world, my perspective on the fact that the music actually transcends the words. And so, I just haven't really quite looked at music the same way ever since. That was like back in 1987. And so I've always looked at what I do in a different perspective. I look at it I see it as the healing factor. I see it as the joining of people that, maybe words don't really cut it. So music is a powerful tool. And so not being able to have that interaction with the audience, to be able to see the faces, to be able to kind of feel sometimes the pain of what some of the people are going through in the audience, or just seeing people celebrate special occasions. All of that kind of goes out of the window when you have to do this virtually. But you have to, in your mind, you have to draw back. I call it my Sankofa. I have to go back and reach back and pull that so that I can move forward. I have to retrieve those moments, those times that I had, and kind of use it to push forward.
Yeah, and for those watching, look for a wonderful article about Regina Bell's upcoming concerts at blackpressusa.com. We have written about it, and it should be on blackpressusa.com this week ahead of the 2 concerts she has in Bethesda. Dr. Chavez, I know you want to jump in with the great, legendary Regina Belle.
Yes, Sister Bell, your music is not only makes people feel what you're saying, but also it inspires people to fight for freedom, justice, and equality. Can you speak just a moment about the importance of music and culture and the freedom movement, the civil rights movement, the intersection between the two?
Wow, thank you so much for those compliments. Music is so important because it's a driving force, as I said before. I'm a Christian believer, and we say very often that music is the second most important ministry, second to the Word of God. But for those who don't know it, it is the primary source. When music is so much a part of our culture. And what we do, music, my grandmother, even in having had Alzheimer's, sometimes she wouldn't remember who I was. But if I came in the house, I could hear her humming a long metered hymn. I could hear her singing a song from her childhood. And so it was amazing to me that those things she never forgot. Music goes a long way. It can bring you up. It can help you draw on a memory. So when we start talking about civil rights and we start talking about freedom, what better tool to use to help implement the cause, to ingrain it, embed it in the minds of folk, to remind us that, yes, a lot of work has been done, but there's still a lot of work that we need to do. And so a song helps us to be able, I think, it makes the work more palatable. Right? When we think about the enslaved and the songs that they would sing to help them pass the time. So the music is, I hope we really understand the power. I say often, you always have to have a song to sing. A song, it's your song. It's the song that propels you. It's the song that promotes you. It's the song that elevates you in that place. So music, whatever we're doing, especially fighting a cause of any nature, I would suggest that you incorporate music, because music, again, it's our strength. It helps bring us out of a place and to a perspective place, a place of light, a place of I can do this.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Regina, you've won Grammys, you've won awards, but talk about how special it is to have a song of yours in a major motion picture. You obviously were featured on the soundtrack of the 1992 Disney movie Aladdin, which was a huge blockbuster. How exciting was that, and is that for an artist? Where does that rank when you think about awards?
Well, of course, the Grammy that's the highest accolade that any artist could receive, because you're being voted on by your peers. So you're talking about some of the greatest musicians, producers, writers, artists around the globe voting to say that you're the best. So that's pretty huge. It's, and hearing, when I went in to record, believe it or not, when I went in to record A Whole New World, I actually had bronchitis, which is
wow.
Right. So, and I was on the road. So I didn't really, when you think about opportunities, sometimes when you have an opportunity, you really, and you can, if I can say this and help and hope that it makes sense, when you can turn the world down and you have opportunities coming your way, you kind of have a little bit more of a focus on, wow, this could be the one, this could be the place, but for the fact that the world was kind of turned up in my life at the time. And I was on the road, I was on a tour, and I was working that particular year. I was working 47 weeks out of the year. So I was working. And so it was very hard to kind of see where the destiny of this song could have taken me. And so when I went in, of course, I was just worried about making sure that I could do my best based on what I had to work with. And lo and behold, boom, my whole life changes now as a result of this awesome opportunity. And I think it wasn't until I did the Macy's Day Parade, and something that I grew up watching, being from Inglewood and seeing the parade, for every Thanksgiving. And now all of a sudden I have the opportunity to be in the parade on a float and seeing fans look from 8 to 80. That blew my mind. That just took it to a whole nother level. But I mean, what can I say? I thank God every day that I had the opportunity to sing such a song written by Alan Menken and Tim Rice, and to do what I did with such an amazing voice like Peabo Bryson.
Yeah, and you mentioned before we went on the air, you talked about recently again performing with Peabo Bryson. What's that like when you have such a duet partner who, people recognize you two together, they recognize those songs, but isn't there a certain chemistry you just have to hit it the way you and him have done it?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I first met Peabo Bryson when I was in college, and I was a part of the African Student Union, the ASC. And I was I brought the I was responsible for bringing the music for African Americans to the school at the time, which was only 6% Black. And so we were we had all kind of artists like Twisted Sister, and I forget some of the other artists. And I was like, hey, we need something to represent us. We pay tuition just like you do. And, we need to hear music that reflects us. And so Peabo and Phyllis Hyman came to the school. That was the first time I met Peabo, and I was like so in love with his voice. I just thought he was the essence. I mean, nobody had thrilled me like that since Donny Hathaway. And so I just thought to myself, wow, what an amazing voice. Jump forward years later, we do the duet for Leonard Part 6 for Bill Cosby's movie. And that was like the only thing that was a hit concerning that movie.
Yes, it was. And he'll be the first to tell you that, right?
and so when I got I got a chance to actually talk to him. You know, I had performed with him because I worked with the Manhattans, but when I actually was Regina Belle, the entity, and not the opening act for the Manhattans, and speaking to him and letting him and reminding him of that concert, I mean, it was just amazing. And just singing with him, when I tell you, he just gets it. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like what did Stacey Lasso say? Perfect combination. Perfect combination.
Yeah.
He's butter. You know,
Yeah.
he's the butter on the bread, and it's such a love thing when we come together, because we do the thing that we both love the most. You know, as it concerns our art form, and so I have to say, doing music with him is an experience like no other. It's very, words kind of cheapen the actual, you know, experience. It's really hard to put in words what happens when we come together. But and here it is. It's a safety, it's a confidence that not only when we're not at our best, we know that we have each other's back, but we know each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, and so we build up those places where each other, where you know, one of us has maybe we're not quite making the margin, and then when we're singing, it's also a competition, but it's a good competition. It's like hearing him at his best makes me want to get better at my best. If any of that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
there you go. You know, it's said that music is the only art form that, when experienced, can immediately transport the listener to the mindset of the creator at the time that it was created. Are there any songs that bring back special memories when you perform or hear them?
Wow, you hit me with the big one. Okay. Whenever I hear the OJs, I think about the cookouts and my family. It reminds me of even those that have gone on. It takes me to a special place. It takes me to a safe place. Because growing up, you know, I grew up in a very safe environment, a loving environment. And so it brings me back to all of that. When I hear Aretha Franklin, I think about the fact that Aretha Franklin is one of the few artists that could take us to church, that could take us to the club, that could take us to the cookout, and then take us back to church, and then take us all at the same time. So, you know, and I don't know. It's just I'm so, I don't know. I guess the word is, I'm so honored that God gave me the opportunity to do this thing called music, because I get to go in the homes of people that I may never meet. I get to be a part of the fabric of people's lives. And a lot of the times, believe it or not, the responses from people, they exceed the place of when I was creating the music. It goes beyond, you know, the creation, because they show me something that I didn't see when I was creating it. And so, you know, this is an amazing place to be in, this thing called music. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, and with that though, would you agree that sometimes some of it can scare you? You look at even yourself. I mean, I was going to say somebody like a Michael Jackson, whose following is like a religion, really. And I know you have fans like that too. Does that kind of scare you a little bit when you think about it like that?
Yeah, because you know, I'm kind of not the person who believes my own hype. I'm not that person. My family kept me very grounded, very you know, what's the word, buoyant. I remember when I won the Grammys for A Whole New World, and the following Sunday I go to my grandmother's house, and she asked me had I washed the dishes, because each grandchild, you know, we had to take the responsibility of washing dishes. We all went to Big Mama's house on Sunday. But so I say to my grandmother, you know, Big Mama, I
got a Grammy.
You know, did you watch me? Did you see me? She said, baby, that's nice. I want you to go over there and get an apron so you don't mess up your pretty little dress and wash them dishes. And I said, yes, ma'am. And so my family, they really kept me, kind of even keel. And it's scary to see. I remember one time I was performing in Scotland, and people literally had camped out the whole night waiting to buy tickets. And I was like, that was something, that was weird. That was weird for a sister. And I don't really, and when people tell me, I still get excited when I meet people that, I love. When I met the Queen, Aretha, when I met her, when I met George Benson, when I met, oh my gosh, when I met Anita Baker, because I listened to her in college. So when I met her, it was like, and she came to my concert, and I was like losing my mind. So, I still fan out too. I still get crazy too. So when I met Fred Hammond for the first time, I lost my entire mind. So, I'm kind of, I always tell people, when they say, wow, I love your music, blah, 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 blah. I say, we just folks. And it's a statement of mine that, I try to live in, because I think when you go beyond that, I think you miss something. You miss being able to connect with the very people that really use your music as a healing asset. So, I try to stay even keel. I think that's helpful for me.
Dr. Chavis, she said that she didn't say she lost a piece of her mind. She said she lost her entire mind.
Entire is the late great Della Reese would say, I lost my entire.
Dr. Chavis, I'm gonna throw it to you.
Yes, Regina, I want you to, we represent the Black press of America. Can you comment as a leading voice, not only in terms of the eloquence of your voice, but the message that your voice transmits? Can you talk about the importance of the Black press in your career and the Black press in the career of other African-American entertainers?
Huge. I think especially an African-American, I think when you all begin to express us and talk about what it is that we do, I think, it's not to say that no one else can talk about the music and what it does for them, but I think it's authenticated for us. I know it is for me as an artist to hear my people begin to talk about my music and talk about what it took to get to where I am and talk about my experiences, because, for many of us, especially not just from the musical standpoint, but just the Black experience as a whole. When we begin to talk about trying to do what we do and the things that we have to go through, when you go through going somewhere and, you got a million plus selling record, but you go to Foot Locker and somebody's following you around in the store. You can definitely understand that when you're talking to me, when you're interviewing me, when you write about me, because you're writing from that same experience. And if you haven't experienced that, somebody who has. So these different things, I think it's pertinent to the artist. I think we have a responsibility to make sure that we kind of promote each other, that we support each other in what it is that we do, because I think, when it comes down to it, we express us better than anybody can express us. I don't know how else to say that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that the credo, Dr. Chavis, of the Black press?
We plead our own.
All right, 194 years ago, we wish to plead our own cause, because for too long others have spoken for us, and so we can't let that happen anymore, right? That's why you have the Black press of America, and led by Dr. Chavis, led by Karen Carter Richards, our chair. And as Dr. Chavis loves to brag about, Regina, and it's a great way to brag, our executive board is all Black women.
Oh, you better talk to me.
That's right.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they own these newspapers. They publish. They second and third generation publishers. I'm so proud of the role of Black women at the helm of many of our Black-owned newspapers across the United States.
That is amazing. When I think about all of the amazing feats that our people have done despite the treatment, despite despite slavery, despite everything that's connected to the African diaspora. When you think about all of the things that we have come through, and still able to do such amazing things, to own our own businesses, to be educators, to be thinkers in the greatest capacities. When you think about hidden figures, and you're talking about the human mathematics, the human computers. When you think about all of the amazing things that we have done, despite the fact that we were stripped of everything coming here, that we still held on to our wits, still held on to our souls and the spirit of who we are, to be able to rise above all of that and do some of the things that we've done. It just still amazes me. And you just made my day today. So.
All right.
Well, listen, Regina, you have two phenomenal concerts. I can say phenomenal because I know they're going to be phenomenal. This coming Friday and Saturday and Bethesda. Talk about what your fans and everybody else who's going to attend, everybody's a fan. So talk about what your fans should expect this coming weekend.
Well, the first thing I want to say is don't let the gray hair fool you, boo. Mama still got something to say, okay? So we're going to do some of the old songs like, sat down to write you a letter, promised I'd write it today. So we're going to do that. We're going to do, baby, come to me, 'cause I love you, and make it like it was the way it used to be. So we're going to do all of it, all of it. All I want is forever. Yeah. Am I asking too much? Asking for all your love forever.
Okay, Regina,
we still got another hour. You know, you can go.
I'm telling you, listen, we're going to have Regina back, and we're going to have a special Black Press of America concert by Regina Bell.
That would be amazing.
And we can just broadcast it all over the world.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Chavis, please. I would be so honored. Please.
All right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's Bethesda, Maryland. Listen, if I don't care how far you might be away from Bethesda, you better get there this weekend. You gotta get there.
There's the Jazz Supper Club. Come on, hang out with your girl. We're gonna have so much fun. And the owner, Earl and Pam, they let me do what I want to do. So y'all come on, because we'll sit down. I'll sit down and talk. I'll sit down and do some songs. Even if the band don't know it, I'll sit on my chair and just sing. So come on.
Bethesda Jazz Supper Club.
Yes.
Go online at the Bethesda Jazz Supper Club. You can get some tickets there. If you're fortunate enough and they're still available, grab them, because you just got a little sneak peek. We just sitting here. We were looking for more, right, Dr. Chavis?
That's right. And let me let Regina know that some friends of hers, they're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Temptations. And Otis Williams is a close friend of ours, and we're going up to New York. We're going to capture that moment because they're getting ready to do the Broadway show on the Temptations. COVID is kind of closed down Broadway, but they're getting ready to open back up.
Wonderful.
And I just listen. When I hear your voice, when I hear the voice of the Temptations, I hear the voice of that genre of jazz, that genre of soul, it uplifts us and helps us to stand up and continue to fight for freedom, justice, and equality.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That song, I wrote a song called Freedom, Dr. Chavis. I don't know if you know, but that song, I think it embodies what you were just talking about. That song means everything to me, because I want to make my ancestors proud. I realize the shoulders I'm standing on, to be able to, I talk about it all the time, just being able to walk in the front doors of some of the establishments that I'm able to frequent, the being able to fight. They fought for that right for me to be able to do that. And so, I think about that when I'm singing, when I'm traveling and seeing places that people only read about. I think about all the shoulders that I'm standing on. So thank you so much for all of your work. To all my sisters out there holding it down. I'm just so excited to just to know you guys, just to know what you're doing, that you're continuing in this fight, because it is a fight.
That's right.
It is a fight.
Well, you know what, Regina Bell, tonight we're going to honor 6 African-American trailblazers. As I mentioned at the top, Doctors Ebony Hilton and Dr. James Hildreth. Dr. James Hildreth, by the way, sits on that FDA board. He was on the board that approved the vaccines for the coronavirus, and he'll be on the board again later this week that will either approve or not approve the booster shots. Dr. Hildreth, Black man, the president of Meharry Medical College, very important man in this fight for the vaccine. Dr. Hilton has been the voice of reason throughout the fight against COVID. And we also have the Olympic champion, Allison Felix. She's being honored tonight. And also Congresswoman Cori Bush. We know what she's been doing, fighting for the voiceless, fighting for the homeless. And of course, Senators Raphael Warnock and Senator Cory Booker. So with that in mind, Regina Bell, you just gave us a taste. For those awardees, those trailblazers, can you sing us out? Sing something for them, sing us out.
I sure can. You ready?
I'm ready.
Winners, you've been on my mind. Oh, winners, we're 2 of a kind. Oh, winners, I'm keeping my eyes on you and you and you and you and you and you. I bet you think I don't know nothing but singing the blues for winners. Wow. Have I got news for you? I'm something. I know you know that you're something too. Bobby do, yeah.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bell. Y'all got to check her out this weekend at the Bethesda Jazz Supper Club in Maryland.
We're going to do some jazz, we're going to do some R&B, we're going to do some gospel. We're going to bring it full fold.
Absolutely. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Check out the awards tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The great Regina Bell. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
God bless.
Stay safe.
God bless you.